Hey gang, welcome back to the Music Majors Club Unpacked. My name is Jesse, and today we are unpacking Lady Gaga's finale jazz show in Las Vegas. Oh my gosh, y'all. I have so many thoughts, so many feelings, so much to tell you about. If you're new here, the Music Majors Club is all about talking about music, unpacking our thoughts, our feelings, join our community, become a music major, get in the dialogue. We're talking about a lot of really cool stuff in the comments. Otherwise, we're diving into all things jazz related today. If you know me as a pop music fan, if you know me as a Taylor Swift fan, these things are all true. But if you know me as a Lady Gaga fan, that truly is my roots in music. I love Lady Gaga. I've got to say it. I will never forget listening to her music at the very beginning. I remember hearing her live on American Idol and watching her play piano, listening to her sing, watching her dance. I thought immediately, this is a triple threat. Like, this is somebody who can literally do it all. And as a pianist myself and as a musician, I can just appreciate so much of what Lady Gaga does as an artist, as a musician, as an entrepreneur. And from the very beginning, I knew that she was just so talented. She was just like destined to be a star. And as an actress, speaking of a star is born, and an actress. Like, that's the thing. She just does it all, you know? And so coming from her pop music roots and background, leaning more into over time, different eras. She went into her rock era with Joanne. She went into her jazz era with Tony Bennett. She's just kind of done it all, you know, and I can appreciate everything that she does. That's how I know I'm a true Lady Gaga fan. No matter what she does, I'm into it. I'm here for it. I'm supporting her, you know? So anyways, all that being said, let's talk first about the set a little bit. Let's talk about what we've got going on visually here today. On set, I have two iconic vinyl. I say that because there's a lot of controversy of what people believe of Lady Gaga's jazz era. So I loved it. I was here for it. I have the physical copies. I have Cheek to Cheek, Lady Gaga and Tony Bennett on display. And I have her other album with Tony Bennett, Love for Sale, both on display, both iconic. They're like staples of jazz music. She goes through a lot of iconic classic jazz standards with Tony Bennett in these records if you've never listened before. And if nothing else, these records really brought in a whole new audience of listeners. To have a pop artist come over into the jazz space and into the genre of jazz and bring over a different community, like from pop. I mean, name another artist who's done something like that, you know? I'm sure there are other artists, but Gaga just does done it in a whole different way, you know? Also on set, we have some exclusive merch from the Lady Gaga shop, the House of Gaga in Vegas. I have the mug, I have a little shot glass, which is pretty cool. And funny story about this shot glass, when I was going to check out, I had the one that has this logo on it. And I thought to myself, well, I already have this logo, but whatever. I wanted to get a shot glass because I actually collect a lot of shot glasses from a lot of places that I go visit and stuff. And so I approached the counter and I said, and I'll also take one of the shot glasses back there. And the guy said, okay, do you want the House of Gaga logo or do you want the exclusive jazz and piano logo? And I was like, I didn't see that wasn't on display. It was only ones that had this logo. So anyways, I said, well, I want the jazz one. Where's that at? And he's like, he looks behind. He's like, oh yeah, I don't see any more. He's like, we might be sold out. Because the night that I went, it was the final night. So I started looking around and I found, behind all the other ones, I found one. And here it is in front of me. And the guy was like, wow, you might have gotten the last one. And I said, iconic. So anyways, back to the set. You'll also notice I have some of these iconic and exclusive little dollars that she had fall from the sky during the show. Pretty freaking cool. They have Gaga on the front, and they also have the MGM Dolby Live Theater on the back. So that's pretty cool. Little nod to showcase where we were. I'm also wearing a Gaga Vegas shirt. This is the residency shirt. This is like the, print they kind of had advertised everywhere for the show. And on the back it says Lady Gaga. I don't know. I'm not really a very big graphic tee person. A lot of my videos you might notice I just kind of wear like a plain t-shirt. So I don't know how often I'm actually going to wear this, but I kind of had to have it, especially knowing this was the final night. So a lot of cool stuff on set today. I wish I had my playbill up here too. I actually made my playbill into a little thing. So I'll include a photo of the playbill that I got at the show, which was pretty cool. They also ran out of playbills. Like we had the last playbills. around. So we were just lucky enough to get one playbill. I was like, oh my God, if I don't get a playbill, I'm gonna be so sad. So, anyways, let's dive into the Gaga Vegas residency. Let's talk about the whole situation. Let's talk about the music. Let's talk about what I heard. Let's talk about her residencies in Vegas in general. So, here's the deal. Lady Gaga signed a contract years ago to begin a residency with Park MGM, and she started off her shows with jazz, and she even had a pop show, Enigma. So, and then she went back to jazz. So she kind of did it all. Unfortunately, I didn't get to go see Enigma. I've only seen, like, I've actually seen Gaga in other concerts and other, throughout different eras of her life. Maybe it'll come back or something like it will come back in the future. But when she originally signed, she had a contract with MGM. And what's crazy about that too is over the time of her releasing other music and going on tour, she always came back for her residencies. And now apparently we might have LG7 coming. Maybe one day, hopefully. Fingers crossed. Maybe by the time this video releases, LG7 will be out. But we have the snippet of one of her songs. We still don't even know what the song is called yet at this point in time when I'm filming this. We just have the snippet of a song that she plays at the end of the Chromatica Ball tour. But now that the Chromatica era is over, she released the HBO special. She finished her residency contract with MGM, and she had her final performance the night that I was there. Now, hopefully in the future, what's coming next is LG7, her 7th studio album, whatever that's going to be called, whatever it's going to feature, whatever it's going to sound like. We, the fans, are hoping that that is what's next. So that's kind of timeline of where we are right now as I'm filming this video. We are post Chromatica Ball. We're even post Gaga Vegas jazz, but we have not quite received anything for LG7 other than that one snippet. Now, like I mentioned, I was at the final night of the show. We didn't know for sure if it was actually going to be her true last jazz performance ever. I still don't believe that she'll be done with jazz. She talked a lot about doing jazz in the future and keeping like her entire band together because she had like a 30-piece band, I think I counted. But it was confirmed that this was going to be the final night of this contract that she had with MGM. And so if nothing else, we went into this thinking like, oh my gosh, this really could be it. Like her contract's up. Her next era is upon us. Maybe this really will be the last jazz show ever. And then confirmed, like yesterday or 2 days ago on social media, she did remove Gaga Vegas or Gaga Jazz from social media. Like it has all the listings of all of her different eras and things that she's working on and projects and albums and everything. She removed Gaga Vegas, Gaga Jazz from all her social media accounts. So I believe we truly did get to see the final night of Lady Gaga's jazz show at Park MGM, which is just incredible. And I am so thankful to my friends, Justin and Desiree, insert photo here of us at the show, maybe. They are the ones who got me tickets. They're the ones who got me to Vegas. They are the ones who did everything. It was for my birthday. They're so good to me. They're the ones who got all this hooked up for me. So I'm so thankful to them for getting us tickets to the show and everything that they did. So thank you, Justin Desiree. So that's a little bit of the backstory. Justin Desiree also saw Bruno Mars at Park MGM too. So it's cool that they've seen, and they also saw Enigma. Oh my gosh, yeah, they saw Enigma too. So they're bigger fans than I am, clearly. But they have been to Dolby Live before, and that auditorium, that stadium, that theater, is more of a theater. It was actually a lot larger than I anticipated. I've seen a lot of clips of people at Gaga Vegas at the jazz show, and I didn't actually think it was going to be that large for some reason, but it was huge. Okay, yeah, Dolby Live Theater's capacity is 6,400 people, so pretty significant amount. And what's super cool is they had all kinds of Gaga stuff like around the hotel too to promote the event. They had the big Lady Gaga Vegas signage, which I looked all over the hotel for, and then it was like right towards the front. It was hilarious. We were like, where is this? And it was right in the front. It was very easy to find. And it was such a the theater was beautiful. Everyone was dressed very nicely. Like it felt like a really big show, big to do, big fancy kind of like night out to go see this show, which I think was entirely the purpose behind this event. I think Gaga really wanted to bring like a true representation of the jazz genre and the feel and the vibe of what that would be into this show. And that was also true for the show that we saw afterwards, which I'll talk about in a second. We were lucky enough to get tickets to Brian Newman's trumpet jazz show afterwards at this teeny tiny little small lounge after the fact, which was iconic as well. Everything in Vegas obviously is just done to such a grand scale and huge production value, and that actually just only makes sense for Lady Gaga to be at. I always thought a residency out there would be so perfect for her, especially with travel and like everything that she had to go through with, her hip stuff and, issues on the road. I think a residency for her just kind of always made sense. Okay, so now let's talk about the actual show itself. I'm not going to go through every single song, but I'm going to highlight some of my favorites and some of the things that just really felt special. Some of the standout moments that I had. If I'm able to, I'll upload specific videos, or I might have already uploaded them at this point. We'll see. I filmed a ton of content, so hopefully I'm able to post that and it's able to stay up. Like I mentioned, everything in Vegas just feels like a really big production, and Gaga's event was nothing short of that. The stage, although it was very simple as far as like props and everything, it had this beautiful diamond background, like this shimmering diamond thing, which I'll of course include a photo of here for you to see. And then the entire, like 30 or 40 piece band all lined up in a true like jazz stage presence. She had her piano. And then what's really cool too is she had little like cocktail tables on the edges of each side, where I think there were mostly like 2 seats per table. And she'd go over and like interact with the audience, which was really cool, and talk to them. And that would be, if I was that close to Gaga, I would it would be so awesome, So to be up on stage like that, how cool. What a cool experience. What a cool way to experience the show too. And of course, she had all these iconic outfits, every couple songs she would change. And even every show, I think like every show she had different outfits too. It wasn't always like she wore the same costumes. So every few songs she would change costumes and come out and make a big, spiel, which was really cool and very true to Gaga. Like that's very big for her fashion and costumes and everything. So I love that she kind of incorporated that from her other shows into this show as well. And in between each like set change, she had videos just like in her pop shows. She had videos that would play while she's changing and whatever was happening. And all the videos were so cool. They all told the story of jazz and how jazz in Vegas, really evolved, and how Italians were involved in creating Vegas and a lot of the history behind Vegas itself. And of course, Gaga's Italian. So talking about like the Italian history of Vegas was really cool to see. And each video monologue kind of told more of the story of how, Vegas was formed and how jazz was infiltrated into that. And I think too about how Gaga always appreciated jazz as a musical genre and how she always wanted to get into that. And what's so special about that too is that Lady Gaga's parents were there the night that we were there. I felt weird about including photos, but I saw a lot of other photos of them online too that people already tweeted and stuff. Yeah, then they sat really close to us. I was like, oh my gosh, all right, that's Lady Gaga's parents right there, which is so cool. I think if nothing else, having Gaga's parents there, I don't know how often they go. Like, I don't know if they've been to a lot of the Vegas shows, or I'm sure they go to a lot of her shows in general, but just having them there on the final night just felt really, really cool too. Like it felt like they were just so impressed and like excited to be there for her. And I just can't even imagine. I kept looking over at them just to like watch, watch them watching their child like perform and just be such a superstar. It was really cool to see, to be honest. I mean, it was very emotional to watch. So anyways, talking about some of the songs, I know she changes the set list almost every couple shows. So I know that the songs are not always the same. But again, I'm going to talk about some of my favorites and highlight the ones that really stood out to me. I am a jazz non-connoisseur. Like, I know these 2 albums actually really well, Cheek to Cheek and Love for Sale. But outside of that, like, I played jazz in high school, actually. I used to play saxophone. Piano is my main instrument, but I used to play saxophone. And I know a lot of like the jazz standards and classics, but some of these songs I still didn't quite know. All in all, she had so many good songs. What's really cool is that she incorporated a lot of jazz standards with her own music. So songs that us fans of Lady Gaga would know, she incorporated that into the jazz show. So she made them a jazz version. And Gaga's always been known for having a really, really solid piano moment during the show. And some of the songs she just did on piano by themselves, and they sounded beautiful. So some of my favorites, starting the show, she enters with Luck Be a Lady, which I will always just think of Mrs. Doubtfire. I don't know why, but like Mrs. Doubtfire, they play that song when she gets into the full costume and everything. I always feel a reference towards that movie whenever I hear that song. I also dressed as Mrs. Doubtfire one year for Halloween, which is also iconic, but Luck Be a Lady was the opener. Of course, she comes like running out and stuff, and she has this big like headpiece on or headdress on and a white dress, and she sounded so good. Like her voice, she can really do anything, and she says a lot that she studied jazz music when she was younger, and she studied acting and everything when she was younger too. She always wanted to be an actress, but you can just tell her voice was always built for so much more than just pop music. Like she can just really control her voice, and she has such a beautiful tone. She came out ready to do her final show, and I'm sure like it was emotional for the entire band too, and her knowing this was the last show. But Luck Be a Lady was so good.
Luck be a lady tonight. Luck be a lady tonight. Luck if you've ever been a lady to begin with. Luck be a lady tonight.
The last like few weeks of the show, she started doing this black streak in her hair thing, which is significant of who knows, maybe LG7. It looks a lot like the Born This Way era, so way back, like maybe she's making reference and nods to some of her past eras, but she had a lot of that going on in her hair, and she had a lot of these cool crystals on her eyes. It was very smart to open the show with Luck Be a Lady too, because most people know that song, you know? And then I think almost after that one, or maybe she had one in between, she then went over to the piano. I think the entire orchestra went away, and it was just her at the piano. Like I don't think they were just sitting there. They all got off stage, and she went over to the piano and she started playing and talking. And Gaga does that a lot. She talks during her shows on piano, which I love. I've always appreciated. I love when she just kind of talks to the audience, and she started laying into some very classic chords, and we all started realizing that this was Poker Face. It is so cool to translate one of Gaga's biggest pop songs, and maybe even one of the biggest pop songs of our time, as a club, upbeat banger, into a piano version. She's done that before, played a lot of her songs on piano and slowed them down, but to style it so specifically within jazz and orchestrate it just on piano and voice, it was so beautiful.
Come on, I gotta sing Poker Face. We're in Las Vegas.
I wanna hold them like they do in Vegas, please. Fold them, let them hit me. Raise it, baby, stay with me. Oh, I'll get him hot, show him what I've got. No, he can't read my poker face. She's got me like nobody.
And like I said, I've heard her perform it that way before, but I've never heard it in the jazz show itself. What's cool too is that Lady Gaga is always very vocal and upfront about what she believes in, no matter what it is, And she's like, I'm sorry if you brought your kids to this show, but that's not my fault. We're getting into this, And I thought that was pretty cool for her just to be like open about it, and she's not holding anything back kind of thing. She's swearing and stuff, So that was fun. And then she went into It Don't Mean a Thing If It Ain't Got That Swing. And everybody knows that song, right? In one of the choruses, she says, when she says, do-wah, 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 they say Tony Gaga, and I love that. She doesn't say Tony's name in this version when it was live, but she said, I'm Lady Gaga, or something like that, which I thought was cool. She does talk about Tony towards the end of the show, and she has a really, really nice, like, heartfelt moment for him, and that was truly, really, really special. They obviously worked so much together on these albums and on live performances. I wish I could have seen him live. Like, I wish I could have seen not only him, but them together would have been so incredible. And just the impact that Tony Bennett had on the jazz community. I mean, he was just one of the true staples and legends. And I think Gaga is just so lucky to have worked with him. She really talked about being just so grateful and almost like unbelievable that she was able to work with him, which I thought was really special. She had like a whole moment for him towards the end. Now I'm looking at a somewhat generic set list of this show. I know what songs that I heard, but I'm looking at some of the other ones that have typically been played. And one song that we didn't get that I'm seeing on this list now is Bang Bang, My Baby Shot Me Down. I would have loved to have heard this. I know I've heard her sing it in other performances, like I've heard her on other tours sing it, but to have heard that, I would have really loved that. I'm surprised that she took that one away, to be honest, but that would have been really, really awesome. Then after a couple more jazz standards, we get into more piano, and one of the first ones that she goes back onto piano is Born This Way, and she explains Born This Way as one of the best, like most proudest songs that she's ever written, because obviously Born This Way is so iconic for so many reasons and speaks to so much, and it's still like one of the number one like pride songs of our generation.
'Cause this is everything I stand for.
So hold your head up, you'll go far. Listen to me when I say I'm beautiful in my way. God makes no mistakes. I'm on the right track, baby. I was born this way.
And so then to translate that over to jazz and hear it played like this was just incredible. But hearing her talk about how much that song means to her was just really special to hear her kind of talk through and like explain and talk about how much her fans mean to her and how much she is here for her fans too.
No matter how you were made, I'm on the right track, baby. I was born to be brave.
One of the newest songs that she added is Stupid Love, too. So Stupid Love on piano from Chromatica, so good. That one she really leaned into jazz for because she starts on piano and then she segues into a jazz version of the song, and it works so well. Like, I don't know how they were able to do that with the orchestration of jazz instruments and the feel of jazz, but it still felt like, you know, the Chromatica era. They blended together really, really nicely.
Put your hands in the air, Vegas. I want you stupid love.
And then one other that was actually just before these or in between with these is the biggest surprise when she came back to do this final set of shows was that she added another Born This Way staple, Americana. The way that was so random and so unexpected.
We fell in love, but
Like this, I mean, it was a fairly popular track, but still like kind of random song from her second album. Like no one was really anticipating that. And it almost has like I mean, it does. It has a Latin vibe to it. So the way that she was able to orchestrate it though together with jazz, it just made sense. And she looked like she was having so much fun singing it too. And that's almost why I was saying at the beginning with the Born This Way hair, like maybe that was in celebration of Born This Way, the album in general, or maybe of what's to come in the future. But it just made sense, like having this Born This Way moment. The album, the song, the music from the show, from the album too, like having Americana in there, crazy. There were so many memes that were like, hearing Americana in a jazz show from Lady Gaga in 2024 was not on my bingo card, but here we are. And you know what? We loved it. Another Gaga song that she played on piano was Paparazzi. She did Paparazzi on piano, and I was like, oh my God. She didn't even do Paparazzi in the Chromatica Ball film. They skipped that one. They removed that, but she did it in the jazz show, which is incredible. Paparazzi was one of her biggest songs, especially the BMAs and all that. So hearing it slowed down on piano and then picked up too, it was incredible. And one of the saddest interpretations of this song that the internet blew up about that I didn't know if it was that unique to tonight's show or if it was always like this, but she played this, and I will use the adjective I saw online a lot, hauntingly beautiful version of Bad Romance. It was like, I mean, I've heard her play Bad Romance in pop. I've heard her play Bad Romance slowed down, but hearing it this night in jazz, it was like dead silent in that theater when she was playing it. And she was playing it softly and quietly and like whispering some of the lyrics. And it was like, what is going on?
I want your ugly, I want your disease, I want your everything as long as it's free. I want your love, I want your love, I want your love and I want your revenge. You and me could write a bad romance.
That was very, very highly incredible. I felt that felt like a once in a lifetime performance because I felt it in the moment. I was like, holy macaroni, this is intense. And then after the show and seeing days later videos posting it and people commenting on like the actual performance itself, people saying how like sad of an interpretation it was and how dramatic and again haunting, I was like, oh yeah, that is what I thought and felt, and I did not know that it was not always like that. So I don't know what was going on. I don't know what bad romance she's got going on. She seems to be in a very happy long-term relationship, but she brought it all out for Bad Romance. The final song was Fly Me to the Moon. Of course, another classic jazz standard.
Fly me to the moon and let me play among the stars.
She sang parts of without a mic. I mean, she was just the ability for her to project and the power of her voice, the way that she was able to control it. Again, another like once in a lifetime thing that I feel like you're not going to just see every day. You don't see that from artists very often. And it was so incredible. But my favorite ending was the encore song, which was New York, New York. So the show ended with Fly Me to the Moon and then, or ended, you know, and then she walked off. We waited a couple minutes and she came back out.
Start spreading the news. I'm leaving today. I wanna be a part of it. New York, New York. Up in that city that doesn't sleep. And I'm the queen of the hill, queen of the wood, top of the list, woman of the
Everything about that song and everything about her was really just like, you could just really tell the passion in her voice, the passion of the band, how much that song meant to her. And she's from New York, so I'm sure that was really, really important to her. And then like seeing her parents watch her too, like it was so good. And at the very end, she thanked everybody. She thanked us. She thanked the band. She went around and she shook every person's hand in the band, which took like a couple minutes. We were like, oh my God, she's really doing this. But you can just tell like Lady Gaga's just such a grateful and grounded person. I mean, that's at least what it seems like. She seems just like such she's just the best, you know? She's such a legend. So if that wasn't enough, that was the last Vegas Jazz Lady Gaga show ever for now. The final night. We were then lucky enough to go to it felt like an after show or after party in a way. My friends Justin and Desiree and Eric. Eric is really the one who got us tickets to go see Brian Newman's show afterwards at the Nomad Lounge restaurant in Park MGM. So Brian Newman is Lady Gaga's trumpet player, and I've heard her reference him on her albums before. Like there's a part in one of the songs that she says, "Ladies and gentlemen, Brian Newman," and so like that name has always stood out to me because then he goes on like a trumpet solo. But he was in the show a lot for Gaga, and then he has his own show that he sometimes does at the Nomad Lounge. This place, I mean, it must have been like, I don't know, 100 people, like under 100 people, maybe. It was a small, intimate space. It was built like to look like a library. I'll insert photos, of course, like a library vibe and aesthetic. Beautiful. The vibe was so freaking cool. It only made sense for there to be like a jazz show there. And we had such good seats. We were right towards the front. There was a little, tiny stage. I mean, smaller than like maybe like the size of my little set here. Like it looked so small but intimate. And we went with the expectation that it was going to be Brian Newman's show, and we'd hoped maybe Gaga would have, a little surprise cameo. I'll give a spoiler alert. She didn't show, and that's totally fine. Gaga, it's okay. We were there either way. We were there for Brian. We would have been there. I joked to my friends. I was like, you know what? If, in this tiny space, I was like, if Gaga was this close to me and like I could cheers her, because I cheers Brian Newman. Brian Newman walked past us and I cheers, like he's cheersing people, so I cheers him. I was like, if Lady Gaga was close enough for me that she came over and cheersed me, I don't think I'd be able to handle it. I would just fall out of my seat. I would just melt, So it wasn't meant to be, and that's totally fine. I'm sure she was exhausted after her show. She's put on all these shows for this residency, and so I'm sure she was just, she was ready to go home, and I totally get that. But we stayed. It was until like 3 a.m. We were going, like they were going. It was incredible. Like these were more songs too that were like true jazz standards. So again, not songs that I knew all of. I might have known one or two, and they even had other little like surprise performances mixed in between. So Brian Newman, who also sounded incredible singing. I had no idea that he could sing, let alone sound as good as he did. Like I thought he was just a trumpet player, but my God, his voice was incredible. And he had, his little like 4-piece band behind him. It looked like the pianist that he had too was Gaga's pianist. So a lot of like the same community, I'm sure, that came together. There were a couple other performances that happened in between, like a choir came in. Brian Newman's wife is a burlesque dancer, so she came in and did a show too with a couple other gals. And it was, I mean, honestly, it was just so great. And we were so close. The way that it was set up is that like there was a stage or like a catwalk almost right behind the booth that I was in. So the photos I'll insert, you'll see he was like just walking behind us, playing the trumpet, and then he just sat right behind me, like right here, just hanging out. I was like, here I am with Brian Newman, just casual, So cool, so incredible, and such a cool experience to like for somebody who's not really that much knowledgeable in jazz or jazz music, like the non-standard, like the non-popular jazz songs, I suppose, to hear some of them done in such a high level. I mean, it's inspiring to get into jazz after hearing that, And of course, her parents were there too. We saw a lot of like they had a little area over there, and people were going over and saying hi, and I almost did, but I was like, I don't want to be one of those people and like annoy them or anything. And I don't regret not going over it. Now, if Gaga was there and she was just hanging out, absolutely. 1000%. But, I wanted to like respect her parents' privacy and just like let them have their own let them have their own time. So all in all, that is a little bit of the overview of the last night of Lady Gaga's jazz show in Las Vegas. I feel honored and privileged to have been there. It was just absolutely incredible. I'm so excited for what's next for Lady Gaga. I cannot wait for LG7. I think this next era of her is going to be huge. Thank you so much for watching and listening. I cannot wait to hear what you think about the show or what things surprised you. Let me know in the comments below. Let's have a conversation going. Be sure to subscribe because you too can become a music major. We'll see you next time. Bye.